We'll start right with the Rangers. Obviously, I'm a diehard Ranger fan. My sidekick here is a Penguin fan, so I was able to eliminate him in 7 games in the last round. If I had told you back in October that this Ranger team would be in the Stanley Cup Finals right now, what would you have said to me?
Not a chance in Hades. I would have said, no way, no how. But you don't want to, it's a cliche, but it's a cliche that it's because it's true. That's why they play the games, because every playoff, somebody ends up taking an average regular season, or maybe even a below average regular season, and turning it all around. This year, it's the New York Rangers.
At the trade deadline, the Rangers made the deal for Marty St. Louis. Who do you think got the better end of the deal at that time? And do you think the Rangers are regretting it now, or the Lightning are regretting it?
Well, no, the Lightning can't regret it because, let's face it, you don't want somebody in the dressing room who doesn't want to be there, especially when he's wearing a letter. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So really, the Tampa Bay Lightning were in a corner. They had to do something. They had to move Marty St. Louis. As soon as the Rangers got a hold of him, I said right away, we'll never regret getting this guy. And it's not just for his offensive play, but it's for what he does in the dressing room as well. He's a guy that players rally behind. He's respected around the league. So the Rangers definitely got the better of that deal, but they got the better of the deal simply because Marty St. Louis had made it clear that he just simply it was no longer time for him to be in Tampa Bay. It was time for him to move out.
You mentioned wearing a letter. Currently, the Rangers do not have a captain on the team wearing that C. Obviously, it won't be made this year, but that decision next year, who do you see that decision going to, and who's wearing that C next year for the Rangers?
Well, I'll tell you that, honestly, that is a great question. I mean, obviously, you want to say right off the top, Marty St. Louis, but no, he might not be, he's the kind of guy that maybe not there long enough. Although it wouldn't surprise me to see them give him the C just simply because he's one of those guys that when he walks in the dressing room, he brings his star with him. He brings his accomplishments. He brings the respectability with him. So I think if you gave St. Louis the C, I don't think there'd be much argument in the dressing room from the players about it. I think he's a guy who's just simply an acknowledged leader. Having said that, I don't know. There is the school of thought that it has to be somebody who has been with the team for a certain amount of time and who already had the players' respect before St. Louis gets there. But if you go with that school of thought, okay, who is that? And look at the team. I mean, when I say who is that as a player who's going to carry that C and carry the responsibilities of that C correctly? I don't see anybody who is left over in the New York Ranger dressing room who would really fit that mold. A guy like Mark Stahl might grow into it, that kind of thing. Definitely not a Rick Nash. Absolutely, I don't think Nash was a very good captain in Columbus. So I couldn't imagine him being captain under the glare of a New York City spotlight. Like I say, maybe Mark Stahl might grow into the captaincy. But right now, you look up and down that bench, and you just think, okay, who do you see other than maybe Mark Stahl, would be a better captain, a better leader, a guy who can control the dressing room when needed than Marty St. Louis, and there isn't anybody. I would give it to St. Louis. I just don't know if the guys up in the front office will go, okay, well, the fact that he hasn't been here long enough, we'll throw that out the window.
I have to agree with you, the St. Louis thing. I would definitely give him the captain. You mentioned how there's no chance that you would have seen the Rangers where they are right now. Obviously, they get into the playoffs. They're number 5 seed. They go against the Flyers. It takes them 7 games to put the Flyers away. They get to the Penguins. My co-host here is a big Penguin fan. No chance in heck that game even goes 7, or series even goes 7 games, let alone it does. The Rangers advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. We take the Montreal Canadiens to 6 games. We win that. Obviously, I would say that there's a chip on the Rangers' shoulder, but I think with everything that happened with Martin St. Louis' mother passing, do you think it's more of the team rallying around him than it is them playing with a chip on their shoulder?
I think that's the flashpoint. I think that's the thing that gets them in the dressing room altogether. But that's only going to last for so long. I think what's happened to these New York Rangers is, first off, they got the breaks that they need, and that's not taking anything away from them. To win the Stanley Cup, you have to have the breaks along the way. It's just simply necessary. You have to have them. So they got them. But I think what's happened is as they've been getting the breaks, as they've become more unified as a team, they should just simply become more focused. And I think a focused team, a team that's playing like a team that's playing for the guy next to them, they're a very difficult, very tough team to defeat. And I think that's what's happening with the New York Rangers.
We're talking with Terry Mercury from the NHL Network Radio. What surprises you most about this New York Rangers team?
I'll be honest with you. The defense. Honestly, I wouldn't have given you basically. If you're talking about the defense core as a group, I wouldn't have given you a plug nickel for them as a group. Individuals, yeah, but as a group, no. But they have really pulled up their socks in this postseason. Now, it doesn't hurt to have a guy who can wipe out any mistakes you make between the pipes, like Henrik Lundqvist. But nonetheless, the New York defense as a whole has played much, much better than they played during the regular season. Absolutely.
Are you surprised that after game 5 he gives up 4 goals, he gets pulled? You go into game 6, he doesn't give up a goal. He's able to just control a one goal lead that whole game. Were you surprised at his performance going from game 5 where he's pulled to game 6 where he doesn't give up a goal at all?
No, if it's a young goaltender, a second-year guy, a third-year guy, first time in the playoffs, first time in the heat of the playoffs as he goes deep, yeah, I'm surprised. Henrik Lundqvist has seen it all in his time as a New York Ranger. He plays in the largest media market on the planet. He's the acknowledged leader on that hockey team. I'm not surprised at all. He's a savvy veteran. I'm not surprised at all that he just simply sat back and, okay, bad night at the office. We'll get him number 6, and I'll be ready for it. And sure enough, he went out there and he was ready. Although, you have to acknowledge, too, that in game number 6, 18 shots for the entire night, he wasn't exactly overworked.
If the Kings win tonight, I'm pretty sure the storyline would be goalie versus goalie, Quick versus Lundqvist. Who do you think has the edge?
First off, well, that's an interesting storyline. To me, it isn't the storyline of the series. I think the storyline of the series is, are the Rangers fast enough to negate Los Angeles' physical? They're just simply a bigger team physically, and the big guys on this Los Angeles Kings aren't sluggers. They're not slow. Their big guys can skate. So the Rangers are really going to have it. They're going to have to be they're going to have to skate, and they have to be extremely disciplined. They go out and pick up some of the dumb penalties that they picked up against Montreal, and we'll just assume for the sake of argument that Los Angeles wins. If they go out there and pick up the dumb penalties against Los Angeles that they picked up against Montreal, the Kings will bury them. Will absolutely bury them. They've got to stay disciplined. They've got to try and find a way to negate the Los Angeles Kings' larger size. Having said that, obviously the Quick Lundqvist battle is going to be very, very interesting. And to be quite honest with you guys, I don't think that's going to be the highlight of the Stanley Cup final. I think it'll definitely be, and like we said, for the sake of argument, if it is the Kings versus the Rangers, I think it's going to definitely be how do the Rangers hold up against the Los Angeles Kings, barreling in on them and their larger size, and also you had 1 or 2 Montreal Canadiens who could set up in front of Henrik Lundqvist. You've got to go 6 or 7 LA Kings who are going to be in his face all night long.
We'll go with the sake of argument here. Tonight's game is already underway. Who are you taking for tonight's game, the Kings or the Blackhawks?
I anybody that takes the Blackhawks to come back against the Kings, I think it's going to take an absolutely monumental effort on the part of the Blackhawks. I think the Kings right now are exactly where the New York Rangers are. I think right now the Kings believe we're never out of a game. We can always come back and win any game that we're in. And that's really hard to beat a team that just simply believes in itself so much. They got a good coach in Darryl Sutter. They got the goaltending in Jonathan Quick. They've got the defense core. And like I say, you can be up 3 goals against the Kings going into the third period, and you look over on their bench, and you can see that, they still believe we can come back and get this game.
We're talking with Terry Mercury from the NHL Network Radio here on Sports on Tap. If you go back to October, who was your prediction for the Stanley Cup Finals? What were the matchups?
It's funny. Going back to the start of the season, I thought it would be Los Angeles and Boston. I really did. And I thought it would be an absolute physical war. The 2 largest and 2 very talented, very deep hockey teams. And I really thought that LA would come out of the West, and I really thought that Boston would come out of the East. And, half right now. I don't know if it's not official yet. Obviously, Los Angeles hasn't won it yet, so I think they will. But I just think what happened with Boston just simply ran up against an inspired Montreal hockey team, and every once in a while you get that goaltender that'll steal a series for you, unless Carey Price did.
You mentioned an expired Montreal team. You go back to that series that just ended last night. What does Montreal need to do to make the next step to get to the Stanley Cup Finals next year, let's say?
Okay, grab the tape of the playoff run and really go take it apart game by game. This is a team that needs to get a little bit bigger up front, and this is a team that's got to get a little younger up front. And I'm talking about there needs to be some sweeping changes in Montreal. Unfortunately, I think their captain, Brian Johnson, I think he's just out of gas. I think Brian, his career, his best years are way behind him. He was a total non-factor in the entire playoffs. I think maybe it might be time for him to hang it up. I think they say goodbye to Vanek, because he became Thomas Vanish during the playoffs. I would not. And he wants a multi-year deal. No, I just. Thanks a lot for your time here. You're a free agent. Goodbye. Obviously, you have to sign PK Subban to a multi-year deal. You have to. I mean, okay, he may not have got a nomination as a Norris Trophy defenseman this year, but you look at what he did in the playoffs, specifically against Boston, and you better sign that guy to a long-year deal, because if you don't, somebody's going to. He's a restricted free agent, which means you've got to make offers for him. And trust me, if the Montreal Canadiens don't sign him, there will be all kinds of offer sheets out there for PK Subban. And I feel like I say, and then the front, you've got to get Lard bigger and a little bit younger. Probably start looking at the defense too, because I think Andrei Markov was also on his last leg. I think really injuries and age have really taken a toll on him. Nice pickup on the part of Montreal getting Mike Weaver from Florida. The guy was excellent during the playoffs. Really, he was a revelation for me watching the Montreal Canadiens. But to me, the number one thing that the Habs have to do is they've got to get a little bit bigger, a little bit younger, a little bit faster at forward. The defense core basically is fine. Goaltending, obviously. And they got, you got Dustin Tokarski showing that he's ready to be an NHLer. So, you say goodbye to Peter Budaj as the number 2 guy, and let Tokarski and Price battle it out for number 1 in the preseason next year.
Were you surprised that the Penguins let go Ray Shero?
Not at all, but not surprised if they let him go. I also thought they'd let go Dan Boswell. That might still happen, the head coach. But I'll be honest with you, I'm one of those guys. While I pointed a finger to a degree at Sidney Crosby, because if you want to be considered the best player in the game, you got to come through when the chips are down. He wasn't that good at the Olympics for Team Canada. He was not good in the playoffs for the Pittsburgh Penguins. No question about that, absolutely. But you know what? This is a team game. Where was Malkin? Where was Kunitz? Where was Letang? Where was James Neal? Where are these guys? So, while, Sidney Crosby should have been the flashpoint, he should have been the guy that got it all going, these other guys who are getting pretty good puck too, they were absolutely invisible during the playoffs. Malkin had a decent postseason, but the rest of them, the Kunitzes and the Letangs and the Neals and people like that disappeared. And, of course, Marc-Andre Fleury, that's one of the things that the Penguins have to do. I'm sorry, they got to get themselves a goaltender. They really do. I just think Marc-Andre Fleury is just not the guy.
One more question before we get you out of here. Who is the travel going to affect in this series, or in the next series affect more, assuming LA does advance? Is the travel Kings coming to New York going to hurt them more than New York going to LA?
No, because this is basically the same team that won the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago. This is an LA team that's used to putting the miles on in the air. I think if the travel becomes a factor, I think the Los Angeles Kings, because they're used to dealing with it, stay fresher than the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers, most of their games in the Eastern Time Zone, not spending a whole lot of time on the road out west. LA Kings used to it. So I think if it becomes a travel series, the edge definitely goes to the Los Angeles Kings.
All right, Terry, last thing before we get you out of here. The last call, we always ask our guests for a last call of the evening. It's usually a shout-out to something in sports. What would Terry Mercury's last call be this evening?
Now, does it have to stay with hockey?
Does not have to stay with hockey.
Okay, my shout-out is in basketball. I just so much love the San Antonio Spurs. I absolutely love them. I call them the no fuss, the no muss, just wins are us, San Antonio Spurs. No melodrama, a little bit of melodrama the other night between Tim Duncan and Paul Popovich, but basically, you never hear any kind of crap coming out of the San Antonio Spurs dressing room. Love those guys. Hope they win the NBA championship. Shout out to the San Antonio Spurs, class organization.
Awesome. I think the last time we had you on, too, you did a basketball shout-out for your last call, if I believe correctly.
There we go.
Do you take the Spurs to win the championship over the Heat if they do advance?
Yeah, I really do. Yeah, I think it'll be about a 6 or 7 gamer. I think 6. I think San Antonio. Yeah, and I think the Heat. If there's one team that the Heat gets spooked by, it's the San Antonio Spurs.
Awesome stuff, Terry Mercury. Hopefully we can catch up with you when the NHL Stanley Cup Finals are over. We'll catch up with you. Hopefully my Rangers are the winners of that, but my fear is it will be the Kings. Terry Mercury, NHL Network Radio, thank you for joining us this evening.
Anytime, guys.